adventurous and caring are just some of the words used to describe British aid worker Chris Parry, who's been killed in Ukraine while attempting to rescue people on the front line.
Chris and his colleague Andrew Bagshaw were reported missing earlier this month. We're joined now by Clare and Mitchell from the group Mission Ukraine, which had been in contact with Chris while he was working there. Morning to you, Clare. You knew Chris through the work that you were both doing, you both have been doing. Tell us how he first got in touch.
So Chris reached out to us at the end of last year. He wanted us to deliver a vehicle to him. So he'd already got a vehicle over there, obviously. He'd been doing evacuation on front line for quite a few months. But he needed a vehicle with better tyres for the terrain for the winter in Ukraine. So he fundraised and asked us to deliver the vehicle over there to him. And that's how we came in contact.
What happened then? Because he stayed in touch, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I mean, he was lovely. We all kind of stay in touch, you know, with the volunteer groups. There's so many volunteer groups still in the UK. Some people have fallen off the radar, so to speak. You know, it's been a sort of knee-jerk reaction of volunteers, and then it's fallen off. But a lot of us are still going. So because you sort of cross paths and cross networks, you do keep in touch. But he did, once we delivered that vehicle to him, he messaged us 2 days later to say, thanks guys, the vehicle that you got to us has just evacuated our first two people, a young mum and a little girl who'd been hiding in a bunker for months. So yeah, I mean, we kept in contact after that, and the vehicle then got destroyed a couple of weeks later. It got shelled by a Russian tank, and he thought he'd be able to rescue the tank from the ditch that it was in, but actually it was surrounded by Russian snipers, which is so he couldn't. So yeah, they lost that truck.
It's an incredible situation that you described there, but how aware do you think he was of the danger that he might have been in?
I think he was totally aware. Everything that he sent us, any WhatsApp that he sent us, it was always like, oh Chris, what are you doing? You know, you're on the edge here, and are you being careful? And you know, of course there was a risk. He was literally on the front line. He was in the middle of crossfire. He knew the dangers. He absolutely knew the dangers, but it's his overriding need to help the people that needed helping took over. So he was maybe almost blinded, I don't know, by that need, but he was such a good person, and his moral compass was so bang on. You know, it was there would be no stopping him. So
you talk about his drive to want to help. What do you think was behind that?
I don't know. I mean, I only know Chris in the capacity of our crossover with organisations to help Ukraine. I didn't know him. You know, he wasn't my best friend. I wouldn't I wish he was. I mean, he was so cool. He was such an amazing person. I wish he was. However, I don't know what his drive was, apart from maybe all of our drives, that all of the people that I have the same sort of drive, that it's an injustice. We need to help somehow. I don't know. It's I can't describe it. It's just once you're in, you kind of can't get out. You know, if you're that sort of person.
Am I right in saying that you've returned from Ukraine yourself? And can you tell us a little bit about the work that you yourself have been doing?
Sure, yeah. Well, when we heard of Chris's disappearance, we were actually just about to head off on a mission. So we had to change quite a lot of the protocols, the security protocols. Because we were worried about our phones being compromised, and it sounds like you're in a James Bond film, but this is reality. You know, I think the public West are not really aware of exactly what's going on, but I mean, your phones are tapped. You know, we were considered worried about our security, so we did go over. We did take care, and we've all got back safe. But we are not on the front line as Chris was. He was evacuating civilians. He was right in the heart of danger, where we tend to deliver aid, deliver vehicles, set up generators and warm hubs for the places in the south that have been liberated, that some of them have had no heat and whatnot for months. So that's sort of where we've sort of edged more towards humanitarian aid, whereas he was life-saving on the spot.
Claire, Anna Mitchell from Mission Ukraine, thank you so much for sharing your stories with us this morning. Thank you.
You can imagine the anxiety of their families when they went out there, but the statements released from both families say how proud they were that they
the work they were doing, the risks,